Park Juno woke up early, just like every day for the last 15 years. The sun was barely up over the fields of Jindo 4, the human colony he called home. He stretched and looked out his window at his duck farm. The morning fog still hung low over the ponds where thousands of ducks swam and quacked. Another day, another feed, he said to himself. Juno put on his old boots and work clothes. His duck farm was the biggest in New Busan, the main settlement on Jindo 4. People from Earth had brought ducks here when they first came. The birds did well in this world's climate and became important to everyone. As he stepped outside, something caught his eye. Thin white strands floated down from the sky. They looked like spider silk, catching light in the morning sun. Strange weather today, Juno thought. He had lived here long enough to know all the planet's odd weather patterns, but this was new. He walked to the first pond, carrying the feed bucket, but the ducks weren't swimming calmly like usual. They huddled together at one end of the pond, all looking up at the sky. They quacked loudly, nervous and upset. "What's wrong with you all today?" Juno asked. The ducks just quacked more, their eyes fixed upward. Junho looked up too. Through breaks in the clouds, he saw something that made him drop his bucket. High above, massive dark shapes hung in the sky. They were too big and too still to be clouds. From these shapes came the white strands, floating down like a curtain across the sky. His phone rang. It was Lee Suma, his neighbor who ran the vegetable farm next door. "Junho, are you seeing this?" she asked, voice shaking. "The things in the sky?" "Yes," said Junho. "It's everywhere. The town emergency system just sent an alert. We need to go to the community center right away." Junho looked at his ducks once more. "I'll be there soon," he said. At the community center, hundreds of people gathered. On the main screen, Captain Han Jiwoo of the colony's small defense force tried to keep order. "We first noticed the objects 3 hours ago," Captain Han explained. "There are 7 large vessels positioned in the upper atmosphere. They are not responding to any communication attempts." Dr. Kim Do-yeon, the colony's lead scientist, stepped forward. She pointed to images on the screen showing the massive shapes more clearly. They did look like spiders, with round central bodies and long leg-like extensions reaching out. The white strands came from these legs. "The strands appear to be some kind of advanced material," Dr. Kim said. "They are spreading through our upper atmosphere. We've lost contact with Earth and our orbital stations already." Governor Song Mina joined them on the stage. Her face was serious but calm. "We don't know who they are or what they want," she said, "but we must stay calm and work together. Our security teams are on alert. For now, return to your homes and wait for more information." As people filed out, worried and talking, Junho felt a tug on his sleeve. It was Dr. Kim. "Mr. Park, you run the largest duck farm, right?" she asked. "Yes, for 15 years now," he answered. "Have your ducks been acting strange today?" Junho nodded. "They're upset, all looking at the sky, quacking more than normal." Dr. Kim's eyes lit up with interest. Same reports from other farms. Only the ducks seemed to be reacting this way. No other animals. "May I come study them?" Before Juno could answer, alarms blared. Captain Han rushed back to the stage. "One of the objects is moving lower," he shouted. On the screen, they watched as one spider-like shape descended through the clouds. More white strands shot out from it, reaching toward the ground. But the object stopped suddenly when it reached the area above the duck farms outside town. It hovered there for a moment, then moved back up into the clouds. Dr. Kim and Juno looked at each other. "I think you should definitely come see my ducks," Juno said. Outside, the white strands continued to fall from the sky, like a net slowly closing around their world. But over the duck farms, there were no strands at all. 3 days after the spider ships appeared, their white strands covered most of the sky. They formed a web that looked like a giant spider's nest high above New Busan. The people of the colony called it the Silk Curtain. Dr. Kim Do-yeon bent over her microscope in the colony's small lab. On the slide was a piece of the white strand that a brave pilot had collected before all flights were stopped. Next to her, Park Chun-ho watched with worry in his eyes. "What is it made of?" he asked. Dr. Kim looked up. "It's not just silk. There are tiny machines inside it, smaller than a human cell. They're sampling our air, our plants, maybe even us." "What do they want?" Chun-ho asked. "I don't know," said Dr. Kim, "but they avoid your duck farm. That's important." The lab door opened. Captain Han Ju-woo and Governor Song Min-a walked in. The governor's face was tired. No one had slept well since the spiders came. "All communications with Earth are still down," Governor Song said. "The silk curtain blocks all signals. And now the strands are getting closer to the ground." Captain Han pointed to a map on the wall. "The strands are everywhere except here." His finger circled the area where Junho's duck farm was, along with the other smaller duck farms. "I've been studying this," Dr. Kim said. She showed them data on her computer. "The spiders stay at least 2 kilometers away from any large group of ducks." Captain Han laughed. "Are you saying these advanced alien ships are afraid of ducks?" "I'm saying there's a connection we don't understand yet," Dr. Kim answered. Governor Song looked at Chun-ho. "What do you think, Mr. Park? You know ducks better than anyone." Before Chun-ho could answer, the lab's lights flickered and went out. The emergency lights came on, bathing the room in red. "The main power station," Captain Han said, reaching for his phone. "The strands have reached it." They rushed outside. In the red glow of emergency lights, they saw that the silk curtain had descended. Strands now hung from buildings and trees. Some reached the ground. Where they touched, they stuck and grew thicker. "They're taking over," Governor Song whispered. People ran in the streets, some trying to pull the strands down. But where they touched the white silk, their hands came away red. The strands cut like razor wire. "Don't touch them," Captain Han shouted through his megaphone. Everyone inside. Dr. Kim's phone beeped. It showed readings from sensors all over the colony. "The strands are spreading fastest where there are power sources and water systems. They're mapping our infrastructure," a voice called out. Lee Soo-min came running toward them, out of breath. "The ducks. You have to see the ducks." They followed her to the edge of town. From there, they could see Chun-ho's farm in the distance. The scene was strange. While strands fell everywhere else, the air above the duck ponds was clear. More than that, the ducks were organized in tight groups, all facing outward like guards. "They've been like this since morning," Lee Soo-min said, moving together, watching the sky. "They sense something we don't," Chun-ho said. "My father always said ducks know things before humans do." As they watched, a single strand drifted toward the farm. When it got close, all the ducks quacked at once. The sound was louder than seemed possible. The strand stopped moving forward, hung in the air for a moment, then pulled back up into the sky. "Did you see that?" Chun-ho asked, his eyes wide. Dr. Kim was already typing notes into her phone. "The sound. It must be the sound they make." Captain Han looked skeptical. "You think duck quacks are going to save us from alien spiders?" "I think," said Governor Song slowly, "that we need to move as many people as possible to the duck farms." Now, as darkness fell, the white strands glowed with a faint blue light. The silk curtain was complete everywhere, except above the ducks, who kept their noisy vigil through the night. 3 weeks passed since the spider ships first appeared. Many people now lived in tents on Chun-ho's duck farm and the other smaller farms nearby. The white strands still would not cross into these areas. Park Chun-ho walked among his ducks, counting them as he did every morning. There were more than usual because people had brought ducks from smaller farms to join his flock. The birds seemed to know something was wrong. They stayed in tight groups and looked up often. "How are they today?" Dr. Kim asked, joining him by the largest pond. She carried her testing equipment. "Restless," Chun-ho said, "like they're waiting for something." Dr. Kim nodded. Governor Song wants to see us. She says it's important. They walked to the large tent that served as the new command center. Inside, Governor Song and Captain Han stood around a table with maps and equipment. Their faces were grim. "We lost contact with the eastern settlement last night," Captain Han said. "The strands completely covered it." Governor Song looked tired. "We've tried everything to communicate with the spiders. No response." "My ducks could fly up there," Junho said suddenly. Everyone looked at him. "They fly high when migrating. Maybe they could reach the spider ships." Captain Han laughed. "And do what? Deliver a message. Maybe they could disrupt whatever is blocking our signals," Dr. Kim said. "The ducks clearly affect the strands somehow." Before they could discuss further, all their phones beeped at once. On the screens was a message. "ATTNTYON humans of Jando 4. They stared at their phones in shock. "It's them," whispered Governor Song. "They're finally talking to us." More words appeared. "We are HKENAMOOCOLECTIV. Your world VHAs BEENC for harvest." Captain Han grabbed his radio. "All units on alert. We have contact." The message continued. "Your resources, including biological units, will be processed. Sufficient stock will remedian for regeneration before next harvest facility. Resistance is unnecessary." Silence fell in the tent. The message was clear. These aliens saw humans as just another resource to be harvested. They're going to kill most of us and keep some alive too. "To breed for next time," Dr. Kim said, her voice shaking. Governor Song's face hardened. "Captain, what weapons do we have?" "Not enough," Captain Han replied. "Our colony wasn't built for war." Outside, a commotion started. They ran out to see people pointing at the sky. A large flock of ducks was flying high above the farm, higher than ducks normally flew. They headed straight up toward the lowest hanging strands of the silk curtain. "Those are from my east pond," Junho said. They'd never flown that high before. They watched as the ducks reached the strands. The birds began to quack loudly, the sound somehow carrying all the way to the ground. Where they flew, the strands moved away, creating a small hole in the silk curtain. Dr. Kim was recording everything with her equipment. The frequencies they're making. They're disrupting the nanomachines in the strands. As they watched, a beam of light shot down from one of the spider ships. It wasn't aimed at the ducks, but at the command tent. A voice boomed from everywhere and nowhere. "CEAs, your Sona CATAC, or immediate heat harvest will commence." The ducks kept flying, the hole in the curtain growing larger. Another message appeared on their phones. "Your AVIN weapons will not save you. The NAMOCOLECTIV has harvested 1,000 worlds." Captain Han looked at Junho with new respect. "Your ducks just became our first line of defense." "And our first weapon," Dr. Kim added. Governor Song turned to face them all. "The spiders have given us their ultimatum. Now we give them ours." She looked up at the ducks still circling high above. "Tell everyone to gather all the ducks from every farm. If they don't like duck sounds, let's give them a concert they'll never forget." Above them, the spider ships began to move, repositioning themselves over the colony. The battle for Jindo 4 was about to begin. Early morning light filtered through the silk curtain as Park Junho and Dr. Kim Do-young worked in the makeshift lab they had set up at the duck farm. 3 ducks sat in a special pen, wearing small devices around their necks. "Ready?" Dr. Kim asked, adjusting her equipment. Junho nodded and pressed a button. A small piece of the white strand they had collected moved toward the ducks on a mechanical arm. The ducks immediately began to quack loudly. Their quacks had a pattern that wasn't normal. "Recording," Dr. Kim said, watching the numbers on her screen. The sound frequency is between 2.3 and 2.7 kilohertz. On a separate table, the piece of strand began to wriggle and then break apart. The tiny machines inside it were shutting down. It works, Shunho said. The duck quacks really do destroy the strands. Dr. Kim nodded excitedly. But there's more. She pointed to her screen. Look at the air readings. When the ducks quack, they release tiny particles from their feathers. It's the combination of the sound and these particles that affects the strands. They were interrupted by the sound of engines. Outside, several trucks arrived. Governor Song and Captain Han stepped out of the first one. "We need good news," Governor Song said as she entered the lab. "The spiders have started landing smaller ships. They're building something at the edge of town." Captain Han looked skeptical as usual. "How are the duck experiments going?" Dr. Kim showed them the results. The ducks produce a specific sound that, combined with proteins in their feathers, disrupts the nanomachines in the strands. "Can we use this somehow?" Governor Song asked. "Make a weapon out of it?" "Maybe," said Dr. Kim. "We could try to copy the sound and spread duck feather particles." Captain Han laughed. "So our plan is to throw duck feathers and play duck sounds at giant alien spiders. The military academy never prepared me for this." Before anyone could answer, a young soldier ran in. "Captain, one of their machines is heading this way, a small one." They rushed outside. In the distance, moving along the main road toward the farm, was a spider-like robot. It was about the size of a car, with 8 legs and a round body. It moved quickly, cutting through any strands in its way. "It's coming straight for us," Captain Han said, reaching for his gun. Chunho had another idea. He ran to the nearest duck pond and opened the gate. "Everyone make noise. Get the ducks excited." People began to clap and shout. The ducks, already nervous about the spider robot, began to quack loudly. Hundreds of ducks, then thousands, joined in. The sound was deafening. The spider robot slowed as it got closer to the farm. Its legs seemed to shake. When it was about 100 meters away, it stopped completely. "It's working," Dr. Kim shouted over the noise. The robot tried to back away, but some ducks had now flown toward it, circling it, and quacking directly at it. The robot's legs buckled. It fell to the ground, twitching. Captain Han ordered his soldiers forward. They approached the fallen robot carefully, guns ready. But it wasn't moving anymore. "Bring it to the lab," Dr. Kim said, carefully. Later, they gathered around the disabled robot. Dr. Kim had opened its outer shell to reveal complex machinery inside. "This confirms it," she said. "The Namu Collective has a severe negative reaction to something in the ducks. It's almost like an allergy." "An allergy?" Captain Han asked. "Advanced aliens are allergic to ducks. Every species has weaknesses," Dr. Kim explained. "The protein in duck feathers, combined with their specific quack frequency, seems to disrupt their neural networks." Governor Song looked at the robot, then at Juno. "Mr. Park, how many ducks do we have altogether?" "About 12,000, Juno answered. "We need more," she said. "We need every duck on this planet." Junho nodded. "I'll start breeding more right away. And I have an idea for making the ducks even more effective." Outside, the spiders continued building their strange structures around the colony. But now, for the first time since they arrived, the humans had hope. A week passed since they discovered the duck effect on the spider robots. The Namu Collective had built 3 large towers at the edge of New Busan. No one knew what these towers were for, but everyone feared they were part of the harvesting plan. Park Jim-ho stood with Dr. Kim Do-yeon at the edge of the duck farm, looking at their new creation. 50 ducks wore small backpacks made from colony equipment. Each backpack had a tiny speaker and a fan that blew duck feather particles into the air. "Will it work?" Shuno asked. "The backpacks amplify their quacks by 10 times and spread the feather proteins more effectively," Dr. Kim said. "If our theory is right, These ducks are now 10 times more dangerous to the spiders. Captain Han approached them, leading a team of 20 soldiers. Each soldier carried a new weapon, guns that Dr. Kim had modified to shoot capsules filled with duck feather proteins. "My team is ready," Captain Han said, "but this plan is crazy." "Sometimes crazy is all we have," Junho replied. Governor Song joined them. In the last week, her hair had turned grayer, but her eyes were still determined. "The first tower is almost complete. We can't wait any longer." She turned to address the soldiers and volunteers gathered nearby. "Today we take the fight to them. Our mission is simple: destroy the first tower using our new duck-based weapons. Show the Namu Collective that humans are not easy prey." A soldier came running up. "Governor, spider robots are entering the town center. At least 30 of them." Captain Han checked his weapon. "Change of plans. We defend the town first, then hit the tower." They moved quickly, loading trucks with soldiers and cages of special battle ducks, as someone had named them. Junho rode in the lead truck with Captain Han and Dr. Kim. Governor Song stayed behind to coordinate from the farm. As they approached town, they saw the robots. They looked like the one they had captured, but these moved in formation, methodically going from building to building. Where they touched, the buildings began to be covered in the same white strand material. "They're converting our town," Dr. Kim said. Captain Han raised his hand, then dropped it. "Attack." The soldiers jumped from the trucks and took positions. They fired their new weapons at the nearest robots. The capsules burst on impact, covering the robots with duck feather particles. The effect was immediate. The robots began to move erratically, their legs twitching. "Release the ducks," Junho shouted. Volunteers opened the cages. The battle ducks flew out, their backpacks making their quacks louder than normal. They seemed to know exactly what to do, flying straight at the robots and quacking furiously. The combination of the capsules and the enhanced duck quacks was devastating. Robot after robot fell, unable to function. But then, from behind a building, came a new type of robot. This one was larger, with a protective shell. It sprayed something into the air that made the duck feather particles fall to the ground. "They're adapting," Dr. Kim shouted. The larger robot moved toward them, seemingly unaffected by the ducks or the capsules. It raised one leg, now shaped like a weapon. Junho didn't think. He ran forward, straight at the robot. He carried a bag of special feed he had made, rich in the proteins that produced the strongest effect. "Junho!" "No!" Dr. Kim screamed. Junho reached the robot and threw the feed high into the air above it. The battle ducks, seeing the feed, swarmed toward it, flying directly over the robot. As they ate the special feed, they quacked more intensely and released more feather particles. The robot tried to shield itself, but the concentrated attack was too much. Its shell cracked, and it collapsed. The remaining robots began to retreat. The humans cheered. Captain Han helped Junho to his feet. That was either very brave or very stupid. Junho smiled. "With ducks, sometimes it's both." They looked around. Half the town had been covered in white strands, but they had stopped the robots. For now, Dr. Kim was examining one of the fallen robots. "They tried to counter our attack. They're learning." Captain Han nodded. "Then we need to hit them harder before they learn too much. The tower is next." As they regrouped, a message came from Governor Song. "The spiders are sending more robots. Many more. Return to the farm now." The first resistance had worked, but the real battle was just beginning. 2 days after the battle in town, the leaders of Jindo 4 gathered in the largest duck barn. Maps and plans covered the tables. The situation was getting worse. The Namu Collective had built 2 more towers, and their robots now wore special shields that protected them from duck attacks. "We need something bigger," Governor Song said, looking tired but determined. "Dr. Kim, what progress have you made?" Dr. Kim pointed to a large machine in the corner of the barn. "This is what I call the duck amplifier. It takes the quack frequency and boosts it 100 times. And this, she held up a small canister, contains a concentrated version of the duck feather protein. One spray equals about 1,000 ducks. Captain Han studied the maps. The towers are the key. Whatever they're building, it can't be good for us. We need to destroy them before they finish. Park Chun-ho had been quiet, thinking hard. Finally, he spoke. We need to use all our ducks at once. Not just as weapons, but as a distraction. What do you mean? Governor Song asked. The Namu avoid ducks. So what if we send thousands of ducks flying around their ships? While they're distracted, a small team could attack the towers with Dr. Kim's new weapons. Captain Han nodded slowly. A duck diversion. It might work. It gets better, Junho continued. We have farm drones that we use to monitor the duck ponds. We could attach ducks to the drones and fly them right up to the spider ships. Dr. Kim's eyes widened. And we could equip the ducks with the protein sprayers. If they get close enough to the main ships, then we might do some real damage, Captain Han finished. Governor Song stood up. We'll call it Operation Waterfowl. Captain Han, prepare your best team for the ground attack. Dr. Kim, get your amplifier ready. Shuno, prepare the ducks and drones. As the meeting ended, Lee Sumi approached Junho. She had been helping with the ducks since the beginning. The breeding program is working, she said. We have 5,000 new ducklings. They're too young to fight, but in a few weeks. We don't have a few weeks, Junho said sadly. But every duck helps, even the little ones. That night, they prepared the ducks. Special harnesses connected them to drones. Each duck wore a tiny backpack with the protein spray. Junho checked each one carefully, talking softly to the birds. You're going to save us all, he told them. The spiders claimed the skies, but you're going to take them back. At dawn, Operation Waterfowl began. 500 drones, each carrying a duck, rose into the air. Junho, Dr. Kim, and Lee Sumi controlled them from the farm using special tablets. At the same time, Captain Han led 50 soldiers toward the towers. Each soldier carried duck protein weapons and portable speakers that played duck quacks at high volume. The drones flew high, reaching the edge of the silk curtain. As planned, the ducks began to quack, creating holes in the curtain. The drones pushed through, heading for the spider ships. On the ground, Captain Han's team reached the first tower. The tower was guarded by 10 of the new shielded robots. The soldiers fired their protein weapons, but the shields protected the robots. This isn't working. Captain Han radioed back to the farm. Their shields are too strong. Governor Song turned to Dr. Kim. Now, Dr. Kim activated the duck amplifier. A powerful wave of duck quacks, louder than anything before, blasted from the farm. The sound was so strong that people could see it ripple through the air. The effect on the robots was immediate. Even with their shields, they began to shake. Some fell over. Others moved in circles, confused. It's working, Captain Han reported. Moving to the tower now. High above, the drones reached the spider ships. The ducks released their protein sprays directly onto the ship's surfaces. Parts of the ships began to break apart. For the first time, the Namu Collective seemed to be in trouble. But then a new message appeared on everyone's devices. Your resist ANC is noted. Full harvest mode now activated. The spider ships began to glow with a red light. The towers pulsed with the same light. Operation Waterfowl had hurt the invaders, but it had also forced them to reveal their true power. The final battle for Jindo 4 was about to begin. Red light pulsed from the 3 towers, connecting them with beams of energy. The spider ships moved into new positions, forming a triangle above New Busan. The silk curtain began to lower, pressing down on the colony like a net. Inside the command barn, alarms blared. Governor Song looked at the readings on the main screen. The air is changing, she said. They're doing something to our atmosphere. Dr. Kim checked her instruments. They're removing oxygen. Slowly, but steadily. At this rate, we'll be unable to breathe in 6 hours. The harvest has begun, Captain Han said grimly. His team had returned from the towers, unable to break through the robot's defense once they had adapted to the duck amplifier. Park Jun-ho paced back and forth, thinking hard. The duck drones had damaged 2 spider ships, but not enough to stop them. Now most of the drones were gone, shot down by the ships. We need more ducks, Jun-ho said suddenly. A lot more. We've used almost all of them, Lee Sumit said. Only the breeding stock remains. Jun-ho nodded. That's what I mean. We need to use the breeding stock too. Governor Song looked shocked. But that's over 50,000 ducks. They're our future. Without them, duck farming on Jindo 4 is finished. Without them, we might be finished, Jun-ho replied. A loud boom shook the barn. Outside, they could see a new, larger robot smashing through buildings in town. It was followed by dozens of smaller robots. They're coming for us, Captain Han said, checking his weapons. We need to decide now. Governor Song looked at each person, then nodded to Jun-ho. Do it. Use all the ducks. Jun-ho and Lee Sumit ran to the breeding barns where the 50,000 ducks were kept. These were the best ducks, the ones they had saved to ensure duck farming could continue. I'm sorry, Jun-ho whispered to the ducks as he began opening the large doors. Meanwhile, Dr. Kim worked frantically on the duck amplifier, pushing it beyond safe limits. If we use all the ducks at once, with the amplifier at maximum power, it might create a sound wave strong enough to disrupt their entire network. Captain Han positioned his soldiers around the farm. We'll hold them off as long as we can. The robots reached the edge of the farm. The soldiers fired their protein weapons, slowing the smaller robots. But the large robot kept coming, crushing everything in its path. Then the breeding barn doors opened fully. A wave of ducks poured out, tens of thousands of them. They filled the sky, their wings beating like thunder. Dr. Kim activated the amplifier. Maximum power now. The combined quacking of 50,000 ducks, amplified 100 times, created a sound that shook the ground. People covered their ears in pain. The effect on the robots was immediate. The smaller ones fell instantly, their systems overloaded. The large robots staggered, trying to stay up. High above, the spider ships trembled. Pieces of them began to break off. The silk curtain wavered and thinned. Jun-ho watched in amazement as the ducks swarmed around the robot, quacking wildly. Their natural fear was gone, replaced by what looked like anger. They attacked the robot from all sides. The robot tried to fight back, swinging its legs to hit the ducks. But there were too many. They covered it completely. Their quacks focused on weak spots Dr. Kim had identified. With a grinding noise, the robot collapsed, its systems fried by the duck attack. The people cheered, but their victory was short-lived. One of the towers fired a red beam, hitting the duck amplifier. The machine exploded, sending metal pieces flying. No, Dr. Kim cried, diving for cover. Without the amplifier, the duck's effect was reduced. The spider ships steadied themselves. The red light between the towers grew stronger. Governor Song helped Dr. Kim to her feet. We hurt them, but it's not enough. We need something more. Captain Han looked up at the spider ships. If only we could get up there, attack them directly. Jun-ho stared at the ships, then at the thousands of ducks still flying. An idea formed in his mind. Maybe we can, he said. We have 3 atmospheric mining platforms, Jun-ho explained, pointing to a map. They usually collect gases from the upper atmosphere, but they could be used to reach the spider ships. The leaders gathered around him as he laid out his plan. The oxygen levels continued to drop. People were starting to breathe harder. Governor Song looked skeptical. The platforms are slow, and the spiders would see them coming. Not if they're distracted, Jun-ho said. He turned to Dr. Kim. Can you make more of the concentrated protein spray? Dr. Kim nodded. I saved the formula. But without the amplifier, how will we deliver it? We'll use the colony's emergency sirens, Captain Han suggested. They're not as good as the amplifier, but they can play recorded duck quacks at high volume. Dr. Kim started working immediately, mixing chemicals to create more of the protein spray. Lee Sumi helped her, while Junho and Captain Han went to prepare the mining platforms. The platforms were large, flat machines with powerful engines that could push them high into the atmosphere. Each could carry about 20 people. "We'll need volunteers," Captain Han said. "It's going to be dangerous." Junho didn't hesitate. "I'll go. The ducks know me." Many others stepped forward too. Soldiers, farmers, and regular people who wanted to save their home. They loaded the platforms with weapons and the protein spray. Governor Song addressed everyone before they left. "You are the bravest people of Jindo 4. If you succeed, our colony survives. If not..." She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't need to. As the platforms were prepared, Lee Sumi brought something to Junho, a special suit covered in duck feathers. "For luck," she said, helping him put it on. The plan began at sunset. First, the emergency sirens throughout the colony blasted recorded duck quacks at full volume. The remaining ducks, thousands of them, took to the sky, flying in circles around the colony. The spider ships reacted immediately, moving to track the ducks. The silk curtain rippled as if in pain. "Now," Captain Han ordered. The 3 mining platforms rose from different locations, each heading for a different spider ship. Junho was on the first platform, leading the way. The machines climbed slowly through the air. On the ground, Dr. Kim monitored the atmosphere, oxygen levels still dropping. "We have less than 3 hours now." The platforms reached the silk curtain. The ducks flew alongside them, quacking loudly, creating holes in the curtain. The platforms pushed through these holes, rising higher. The spider ships finally noticed the platforms and began to move away, but they were large and slow to change direction. Junho's platform reached the underside of the first spider ship. Up close, it was enormous, like a city floating in the sky. The surface looked organic, with sections that pulsed and moved. "Spray now," Junho shouted. Everyone on the platform fired their protein sprayers at the ship. The concentrated protein covered a large section of the ship's underside. Where it touched, the surface bubbled and broke apart. The ship began to shake violently. Lights flashed across its surface. It tried to move away, but the ducks swarmed around it, their quacks focused on the damaged area. The second platform reached another ship and began their attack too. The third platform headed for the largest spider ship in the center. The Namu sent a message to all devices, CACATAC, or FUL planetary, sterilization will commence. But it was too late to stop. The platforms continued their assault, spraying more protein on the ships. Large chunks of the ships were breaking off now, falling toward the ground. Suddenly, the largest spider ship fired a beam at the third platform. The platform exploded, killing everyone on board. "No," Junho shouted, watching his friends die. Captain Han's voice came through the radio from the ground. "The towers are activating something big. We need to stop this now." Junho made a decision. He took control of his platform and aimed it directly at the largest ship's central section, where a red glow was building. "Everyone jump onto the ship's surface," he yelled to his team. "I'm going to ram the control center." As his team leaped onto the ship, clinging to its broken surface, Junho pushed the platform's engines to maximum power. The platform shot forward, heading straight for the glowing center of the ship. The impact shook the entire sky. A blinding flash lit up the sky as Junho's platform crashed into the largest spider ship. For a moment, everything was silent. Then a wave of energy pulsed from the ship, spreading in all directions. On the ground, Dr. Kim watched her instruments in amazement. The energy signature, it's collapsing. The giant spider ship began to break apart. Huge pieces fell through the sky, but strangely, they dissolved before hitting the ground. The silk curtain thinned and then vanished completely. The towers stopped glowing and crumbled into dust. "They did it," Governor Song whispered, tears in her eyes. But one question remained in everyone's mind. Had Chunho survived? Hours passed as search teams looked through the fields where pieces of the spider ships had fallen. The oxygen levels returned to normal. The sky was clear again, with no sign that the Namu collective had ever been there. Lee Sumi refused to stop searching. "He's alive," she insisted. "I know it." As night fell, the search teams prepared to return to the colony. Then someone heard a sound, a familiar quacking. Following the noise, they came to a small pond they had never seen before. In it, swimming calmly, were hundreds of ducks, and sitting by the edge, covered in mud but very much alive, was Park Chunho. "Chunho." Lee Sumi ran to him. He looked up, smiling weakly. "The ducks saved me. When the ship exploded, they caught me somehow, slowed my fall." Captain Han and Dr. Kim arrived, amazed to find him alive. "What happened up there?" Captain Han asked. "When I hit their control center, I saw something strange," Chunho said. "The Namu, they looked like spiders, but tiny ones, thousands of them working together as one mind. When the protein hit them, they couldn't stay connected. They just fell apart." Dr. Kim nodded. "A hive mind, and our ducks were the perfect weapon against them." 3 days later, communications with Earth were restored. The colony sent messages explaining everything that had happened. The attack, the resistance, and most importantly, the discovery that ducks were the key to fighting the Namu collective. Governor Song addressed the colony in the town square, which was now being rebuilt. "Earth has responded to our message," she announced. "The Namu have attacked 3 other colonies, but now, thanks to us, humans have a defense. They're calling it the Duck Doctrine. Every human settlement will now maintain duck populations as a protective measure." The crowd cheered. Chunho stood nearby, still recovering from his injuries, but proud of what they had accomplished. "Ships are being sent from Earth," Governor Song continued. "They're bringing supplies, but most importantly, they're bringing duck eggs. Our breeding stock will be replaced. Duck farming on Jindo 4 has a future again." Later, Chunho walked through his farm with Lee Sumi. The ponds were quieter now, with fewer ducks than before. But in one pond, the first new ducklings were swimming, hatched from eggs that had been safely stored away from the battle. "Hard to believe it's over," Lee Sumi said. "The Namu will think twice before coming back," Chunho replied. "They know we have ducks." Dr. Kim joined them, holding a report. "Earth scientists have studied my data. They think the Namu evolved on a world without birds. That's why they had no defense against duck proteins." Captain Han arrived with bottles to celebrate. "A toast," he said, filling glasses, "to the unlikeliest heroes in human history." "To the ducks," Chunho said, raising his glass. 6 months later, duck farms were thriving again on Jindo 4. A statue stood in the town square showing a human hand holding a duck. The inscription read, "The spiders claimed the skies. The ducks weren't having it." In the night sky above, where once the silk curtain had blocked the stars, a new constellation had been named. The locals called it the Duck, and it watched over them always, a reminder that sometimes the most ordinary creatures could become the greatest protectors. And Park Chunho, once a simple duck farmer, now looked at his ducks with new respect. They weren't just farm animals anymore. They were guardians of humanity among the stars.